Every skyscraper, every car, every bridge you see. Almost all of it depends on steel. But here's the shocking truth. Steel making alone is responsible for nearly 7% of the world's carbon dioxide emissions. That's more pollution than the entire aviation industry combined. Now imagine if we could make the same strong steel, without the smoke, without the carbon, and with nothing more than hydrogen and water. This isn't science fiction. It's called green steel, and it could change everything. So what exactly is green steel? Put simply, it's steel made with far less pollution by replacing coal with hydrogen in the production process. Instead of releasing carbon dioxide, the reaction gives off only water vapor. Why does this matter? Because steel is everywhere. From the phone in your hand to the tallest skyscrapers on Earth, steel is the backbone of modern civilization. But its dirty secret is that making it the old way is one of the most polluting processes humanity has ever relied on. Green steel offers a way to keep building our future without wrecking the planet in the process. And today we're going to break down exactly how it works, who's pioneering it, and whether it could really replace traditional steel in the next few decades. Let's start with the problem. Traditional steel making relies on something called a blast furnace. Iron ore, the raw rock that contains iron, doesn't exist in a pure form. To extract usable iron, we need to remove oxygen from the ore. And here's the catch. We use coal to do that, not just to provide heat, but as a chemical partner. Coal, in the form of coke, reacts with the oxygen in iron ore. The reaction is effective, but there's a nasty side effect. It produces huge amounts of carbon dioxide. For every ton of steel, about 1.8 tons of CO2 are released. Multiply that by the nearly 2 billion tons of steel produced every year, and you get a staggering carbon footprint. That's why steel alone contributes around 7 to 8% of global CO2 emissions. To put that in perspective, if steelmaking were its own country, it would be the third largest emitter on the planet, right after China and the United States. Coal also leaves local scars. Mining destroys landscapes, furnaces spew out sulfur and particulates, and steel towns often deal with poor air quality. So yes, steel has built our modern world, but it's also been quietly heating the planet. So how do we fix this? Enter hydrogen. In the green steel process, instead of coal, hydrogen is used as the reducing agent. The process is called direct reduced iron, or DRI. Here's the chemistry made simple. In traditional steelmaking, carbon pulls the oxygen out of iron ore, leaving pure iron but also creating carbon dioxide. In green steel, hydrogen steps in to do the same job. When hydrogen reacts with oxygen, the byproduct isn't carbon dioxide, it's just water vapor. This iron, once reduced, can then be melted in electric arc furnaces, which can run on renewable energy like wind and solar. Combine these two steps, and you get steel with up to 95% fewer emissions. But where does all this hydrogen come from? Ideally, from water. By using renewable electricity, we can split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen through a process called electrolysis. When powered by wind or solar, this creates what we call green hydrogen. So the magic formula is simple. Iron ore plus hydrogen plus renewable electricity equals steel without carbon emissions. It's elegant, it's clean, and it could rewrite the rules of heavy industry. You might be thinking, this sounds amazing, but is anyone actually doing it? The answer is yes, and some projects are already making history. In Sweden, the Hybrid project delivered the world's first fossil-free steel to automaker Volvo in 2021. Instead of coal, they used hydrogen produced with renewable electricity. It was a world-first demonstration that this technology isn't just theoretical, it works. Another Swedish company, H2 Green Steel, is building a massive hydrogen-powered steel plant. Their goal is to produce 5 million tons of green steel annually by the 2030s. One of the world's largest steel companies, ArcelorMittal, is investing billions into hydrogen-based steelmaking in Germany and Spain. and SSAB, another Scandinavian giant, plans to completely eliminate fossil fuels from their steel production by 2030. Around the world, from Europe to Australia to Japan, pilot projects are taking shape, and major car makers like Mercedes, BMW, and Volvo are already signing deals for green steel, because industries know they can't hit climate targets unless steel gets cleaner. So while this is still early days, momentum is building fast. The potential benefits are enormous. Think about the automotive industry. Every electric car on the road still uses tons of steel. Switching to green steel means your so-called clean EV can truly be clean, from the battery all the way down to its chassis. In construction and infrastructure, cities can keep growing without adding millions of tons of CO2 to the atmosphere. Imagine skyscrapers, stadiums, and bridges that don't carry the hidden weight of emissions. Even in everyday life, your appliances, tools, and electronics, green steel could quietly transform how sustainable our consumer goods really are. Beyond climate change, there's also an economic edge. Companies that adopt green steel early can position themselves as leaders, gaining access to eco-conscious customers and meeting stricter government regulations. And countries that master this technology could dominate a brand new market in clean, industrial materials. In other words, this isn't just about saving the planet. It's about competitiveness in the next industrial revolution. Of course, nothing this revolutionary comes easy. Green steel faces some huge challenges. First, cost. Right now, green steel can be 20 to 50% more expensive to produce than traditional steel. Hydrogen itself is costly, especially green hydrogen made from renewables. Coal is simply cheaper for now. Second, scale. To replace the global steel industry, we'd need massive amounts of hydrogen. One estimate suggests the steel sector alone could require more renewable energy than the entire European Union currently produces. That's how big the challenge is. Third, infrastructure. Handling hydrogen safely at large scales isn't trivial. It requires new pipelines, storage facilities, and transportation systems. Finally, timing. Steel plants last for decades. Many companies only upgrade furnaces once every 40 years. So transitioning requires not only new technology, but also a synchronized wave of investments. These hurdles are real. But remember, solar panels and wind turbines were once expensive and niche. With investment, innovation, and scale, costs fell dramatically. Green steel could follow the same path. So could green steel actually replace conventional steel in the coming decades? Many experts think yes, but not overnight. By 2030, we'll likely see green steel in luxury cars and flagship projects where buyers are willing to pay a premium. By the 2040s, as costs fall and hydrogen becomes abundant, it could go mainstream. Some countries are already setting deadlines. The European Union has aggressive climate targets that practically demand cleaner steel. Meanwhile, China, the world's largest steel producer, is investing in hydrogen technologies as well. The most likely scenario? A hybrid future. For the next 10 to 20 years, we'll see both coal-based and hydrogen-based steel plants coexisting. But as the economics tip in favor of hydrogen, green steel could become the default way we make one of civilization's most important materials. If that happens, we'll look back and wonder, how did we ever accept belching smokestacks as the price of progress? Steel built our past. It's building our present. And with hydrogen, it could build a cleaner, more sustainable future. We've seen the problem. Coal-based steel is a carbon monster. We've seen the solution. Hydrogen turning iron ore into steel with nothing but water vapor as a byproduct. We've explored the pioneers, the benefits, the hurdles, and the possibilities. The message is clear. If we want to decarbonize our world, we can't ignore steel. The clock is ticking, and the choice is ours. Do we keep burning coal, or do we build our future with green steel? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of steel, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more explorations of underrated disruptive technologies shaping our future. Because innovation isn't just about gadgets and apps. It's about rethinking the very materials our world is built on. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.